Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Tatiana. Today I want to share with you the secret to happiness. Ooh, this is the question that we all have at some point in time. At some point when we feel low, when life isn't going the way that we want it to go, when we have challenges that we'd rather not have, we ask ourselves, what is the secret to happiness? And so I am going to be so bold to take on this question in this video today. I don't proclaim to have the truth. I am just sharing with you what I think is true. And honestly, I don't even care if it's true. I think it works for me. It works for me. I would say I'm a fairly happy person. I love my life. Life is beautiful. I go on walks and I'm just mesmerized by everything. And I think a big part of that is just understanding what happiness is. And so in this video, I'm going to try and explain happiness and break it down with how simple it really is and how we're often deluding ourselves into thinking it's something it's not. And then also I'm going to just share with you some actual practical things that you can do that I think help to increase happiness on a daily level. All right, so first of all, if we dissect happiness, we can see that it is an emotion. And so what we realize is that emotions come from where? They come from over there? No. Over there? No, they come from inside here. We each hold these emotions within us and we experience different emotions at different times. And there is a whole spectrum of emotions. Sometimes we're angry, sometimes we're happy, sometimes we're elated, sometimes we are depressed, sometimes we are just feeling so blue, or there's different emotions and we all experience them on this spectrum at some point in time in our lives. And you have to understand that this is the beauty of the human experience. This is the difference between you and the animals. You are an animal in some sense, but you know what I'm talking about. This is a beautiful thing. And the thing is that on this spectrum, we have a tendency to only appreciate these values on this side over here. And the other half of the values, like the things that make us sad and when we feel guilty and when we feel anxious, we don't like those, right? We'd rather not have those. But what you don't understand is that there's something called the law of duality, and you can't have happiness unless you have sadness. They are both ends of a circle. If you think of it as a circle, happiness exists because there is sadness. How do you know if you feel happy unless you've had days that you felt sad? And so this is the same thing with every emotion. And it allows you to, first of all, realize that it's normal to have emotions and it's good to have emotions, and that there are no emotions that are wrong. They're all just emotions, and it's only us who judges them. We make these emotions bad and these ones good because these ones make us feel good. But you need to understand that the human is meant to experience all of these emotions. If you didn't experience the bad ones, the good ones wouldn't feel so good, okay? So understanding that allows you to actually make room for yourself to experience emotion instead of trying to distract yourself, push it away, to get away from it as soon as possible. Maybe you can actually just learn to sit with it, okay? So first of all, you understand that. So then guess what? If the emotions come from within you and they're felt on the inside, that means that happiness is created on the inside. Happiness isn't something that I can find on the outside. I can't get it from someone, somewhere, someplace doing something. And yet we delude ourselves into believing that, oh, if I make X amount of dollars, oh, if I become successful, oh, if I just get the right girl or the right guy, or oh, if I can just live in this neighborhood. We all create these reasons and these scenarios, and we pretend, like make believe, that if I do this and get this on the external world, then I'm going to feel good on the inner world. That's just not how it works. Sure, those things will make you feel a sense of happiness for a moment. And this is why I'm not as much a fan of seeking happiness as I am of creating joy. I feel like, maybe it's just semantics, but for me, joy just feels like joy is something that you live. You live it every day. And maybe there's some days that you are sad or some days that are not the greatest, but there's still an inner peace and an inner joy. And so that's more of a value to me than happiness, which is just one of all the other emotions as well as joy. But just a little side note. So you realize that, okay, that means that if happiness originates in the inside, somewhere, I'm saying on the inside, it's not really the inside, but somewhere I'm creating this feeling of happiness. That means that I can create it at any time. And why is it that I don't just create it all the time if I have that ability to create it? Well, one, because you don't want to, because deep down you understand that you need to experience the full spectrum of emotions. And in fact, the emotions that you don't want to experience, you're creating them. The reason you're experiencing them is because a part of you wants to experience them. They're helping you meet needs that you have on a psychological level. So what you realize is that, okay, I'm the creator of it. Awesome, I have this power now. Why don't I let it out more? Well, how about this? How about it's because you just don't give yourself permission? You don't give yourself permission to feel happy because you make yourself miserable. You think that it's all the other things that are making you unhappy, but really you just don't give yourself permission because you don't think it's until X, Y, Z is completed that then I'll allow myself to be happy. Once I finish writing this paper, then I'll allow myself to be happy. Once I, achieve all that stuff, then I'll allow myself to be happy. So it's you who gets to create it. So that's kind of the solution in a sense, is just realizing that, hey, this is here. And if I want to choose to focus on it, if I actually do want to feel more happy in my life, I will actually invest time into learning how I can create that. Because it's just like developing a skill set. It's developing the skill set of being able to listen to yourself. And a lot of us will spend a lot of time trying to run away from ourselves because we don't like how we feel. And instead, when you start to develop the discipline to sit alone with yourself in silence and just be there, you will have realizations and they'll be very powerful for you. And so what I encourage you to do is this process of letting go. And I learned this from David Hawkins. This process of letting go. What you do is you sit in silence, okay? And this is, I'm going to share with you, I'm walking you through kind of what I kind of experienced myself. Everyone has a different experience. You're going to have a totally different experience, but this is kind of my process. And again, I'm interpreting his work, okay? Maybe this is not exactly how he wants it shared. So you sit in silence, and the first little bit is always often uncomfortable because, you've spent most of your day experiencing this outside world, right? Your eyes are open. So now all of a sudden your eyes are shut. So you've cut off a lot of those senses. And that means that there's a lot less stuff to distract you. So you sit in silence. Take some deep breaths. And then boom, you're hit with your first thought. And then you have this thought, and all of a sudden you grab onto that thought and you just hold on to it and you kind of listen to this thought and experience it. And all of a sudden you snap yourself out of it and you said, oh wow, where did I go? And then you say, okay, let's go on. And then you have another thought. And then the same thing happens. Okay, so what David Hawkins teaches with letting go is understanding that you can be the watcher of your thoughts. So a lot of us will grab onto a thought and hold on and just go wherever it takes us, right? But what you could do instead is you can now just dissociate from your thoughts and just watch them. Imagine your thoughts like the clouds in the sky, right? If you're laying on the grass and you're watching the clouds and you see like they're just moving, well, it looks like they're moving, right? We're moving. The earth is moving, but it looks like the clouds are just moving. And so you're just watching them and they're just passing. And you can do the same thing with your thoughts. So as you receive a thought, you just become conscious of the fact that you're receiving this thought, and you don't judge it, okay? You don't make it right or wrong. Don't create emotion. Don't even name it. Don't give it a name. Then you're creating a whole identity with it, and the ego loves identity. So you just watch it, and guess what? When you don't feed it your energy, it just goes away, and it cycles through. And then there's another one. And then it cycles through, and you go through this process where you just notice. You just notice the things that are going on in your mind. And you start to learn a lot about yourself when you do this. You start to realize, wow, I have a lot of thoughts about guilt or shame, or I have a lot of thoughts about money and finances or insecurity. And you start to kind of know what it is that's actually making you unhappy in life. You start to become aware that, oh wow, these are the thoughts I have every day. No wonder I'm so miserable. So you just sit there and you notice them, and then pretty soon what happens is, you might notice some thoughts, and you might stir up some emotion. Some thoughts are very strong, right? And some thoughts just stir up emotion in you. Maybe it's your heart quenching, or a bubble in your throat, or your gut. And then what happens when you feel that emotion is, instead of trying to now distract yourself from that emotion, what you do is you just allow it to be. And maybe feel where it is that it's, sometimes emotion, you can feel it in your physical body, locate it, and then you practice letting go. And maybe you might ask yourself, can I let this go? Yes, I can let this go. Will I let this go? And if you have resistant thoughts come up, allow them. When will I let this go? And oftentimes, you're going to conclude that I'm going to let this go right now, because it's actually kind of logical, right? Why am I going to hold on to something, some thought that's causing my own suffering? If one day I'm going to get over the fact that my ex-wife cheated on me, why not just do it now instead of living with the pain and the suffering of it? Doesn't mean that I think that what she did was right, or that she can get away with it, or whatever it is. Doesn't mean any of those things. Don't create meanings about it, okay? You just say, why should I put myself through the suffering of it if I can just let it go right now and be at peace with what is? And so you kind of go through this process, and what it does, it allows you to let go of a lot of disempowering emotions or thoughts. And remember, disempowering does not mean wrong. It's not wrong to experience any emotion. It's right to experience all emotion. But if you're living in that emotion every day you're feeling so anxious, you're full of anxiety, it's crippling you, that is not serving you in your life. And you can learn to surrender that. Okay, and so that's what this process does. So that was really long. I can't believe how long that is, because I'm not even done. I haven't given you the practical things yet. So I'm about to do that now. Practical things, as in things that you can do every day. And these are what I do. This is really when I notice I'm most happy. It's because I'm doing these things. So first, it's being present in all that you do. You can only experience happiness really in the present moment, true happiness, like the real feeling of it. Because yes, there's the past, and you can maybe reminisce on some things that make you chuckle or make you feel happy, but to really feel full happiness, the aliveness that comes with it, it's really, you have to be present in your life. Because most of the time, for most of us, when we are thinking of the past or of the future, we're not really thinking positive thoughts. Most of the time we're thinking about all the mistakes of the past, or we're thinking about all of the struggles of the future. So it's better if you can just train yourself to be present in what you do. And it's going to take practice. It's a skill that you have to build. In the beginning, it's very difficult. But with time, you can start to do things more presently. Stop multitasking. I know you used to recommend it. It's going to be good for your success. But sometimes the things that are going to help make you successful are not the things that will help you feel fulfilled. So stop multitasking so that whatever you're doing, if you're barbecuing, barbecue and be present. If you are cleaning the toilet, be present. Being present means that you're experiencing your senses. You're focused on this one thing. Your mind isn't somewhere else, okay? So that's one. Number two is learning how to feel all the emotions, okay? So this is what I talked about earlier. I'm not going to go into it, but allowing yourself to feel emotions instead of pushing them down. Number three is to be present with your emotions and not distract yourself. Okay, I talked about that too, so I'm not going to go over it now, but just be aware of this. Okay, notice in your life the areas that you try and distract yourself. Notice it, because this will help you to figure out what it is that what emotion you're trying to distract yourself from. So is it watching TV or playing video games? Is it eating excessive amounts of food? Is it sex or pornography? Is it over-exercising? You name it. There's a lot of different vices, right? And you figure out, where in my life is this showing up? Chances are you probably have something. I feel like we all do. Don't make it wrong, okay? It's part of the human condition. But you notice it, and then you say, okay, well, I have a tendency that when I come home from work, I like to turn on the TV and just watch the news. And maybe you realize that it's because when you watch the news, you feel this sense of adventure. It's kind of meeting the need of variety in some sense. You're hearing about all of the crime. Or maybe it's because when you come home from work, your partner is just like complaining all the time and you're trying to distract yourself from that. But really you have to peel the onion and figure out not what the external event is, but what emotion are you trying to distract yourself from? So get to the core of it, and you figure out the emotion. Like, okay, maybe if the partner is complaining all the time, when she complains, I feel just irritated or annoyed, or I feel agitated, or what is that emotion? And so instead of distracting yourself, now you make the choice to just sit there and go through that process. Okay, so now the next thing, I gotta go through this a lot faster, I'm sorry. Next thing is to sit in silence daily. Talked about that. Next thing is to get outside at least once a day, okay? You gotta get outside. We are not meant to live in these boxes and stay in these boxes for pretty much your entire day, every day. So if you count the time that you spend at home, the time that you spend at work, you're inside a box for a very long period of time. So get outside, take off your shirt or wear a tank top and get vitamin D, get the sunlight on your skin. Getting outside doesn't have to mean anything, okay? Getting outside could be a little walk. It can be sitting at the park and just people watching. Being around people is going to be very good for you. Or it can be taking a bike ride or going to the lake. You choose anything. Get outside. Especially if you can do it in the morning. If you wake up and the sun's out, that's a great time to get outside. It's good for your circadian rhythm. All right, the next thing is to have at least one hobby. Okay, one hobby. I think hobbies are more important than we realize. They're a bit underrated, but I think that because with hobbies, we don't expect to make any money from them, so there's not really any monetary value, and so we don't value them that much the way we value, our business or our careers or jobs. But a hobby is really what it is. It is an expression of your artistic side. Okay, and for a lot of us, unless you're an artist in some shape or form, a lot of us are not expressing that part of ourselves. And a hobby is also just something really fun to do every day. Like, you do a hobby because you really like to do it, right? And if you don't have a hobby, guess what you have to do right now? You have to start exploring. You have to go and try new things. I'm giving you permission to go and try learning to play tennis and try learning to go horseback riding, or whatever it is that you've always wanted to try, go and do it, okay? Don't wait until you're whatever to do it. Do it now, okay? So get a hobby. I also think that you need to treat your body with respect. Okay? And what I mean by respect is you see your body as this beautiful temple, because it is. Do you ever stop to think about what your body is doing right now? Like, my body is engaged in so many functions that I'm totally unconscious to right now. Like, I'm just focused on talking to you guys. My body is running this whole operation. It's like intensely complex. And you know what I do? I will stuff it with McDonald's and Burger King and eat the worst foods and drink sugary drinks and have all this processed foods and genetically modified foods. And I'm going to just not even think twice about the ingredients list. I'm not even going to read the ingredients list. It doesn't matter. It just looks good. So stop doing this to yourself, okay? Oftentimes we eat emotionally, okay? But even if you don't eat emotionally, you gotta realize that your body has this capability to function at a very high level, okay? And so sometimes what happens is we pollute our bodies so much that they create disease. Disease oftentimes just doesn't magically appear. It's been planted and it's been growing for years and years and years, and you're just seeing the sprout of it now, okay? But you link it back to all of the poison that you put into your body, not just the food, but living a sedentary lifestyle, like not getting up and exercising every day. It's very important for your body. Forget about how it looks on the external. That's really just a side bonus. It's really what you're doing on the inside, okay? So when you take care of your body, when you respect your body more, it just means that you're going to be a bit more conscious about what you eat, and you're going to be a bit more conscious about moving every day, okay? And that's going to allow you to feel better, because most of us have our bodies in such a chronic condition that they're not working optimally. You don't even know how good you can feel. I'm telling you this. You don't even know how good you can feel at your peak. And so imagine if you made that a goal. I'm going to become as healthy as I can. Why not? You think that you feel so good eating all the junk food, but really imagine how amazing you'll feel when your machine is squeaky clean. So consider that. Now, I also will say that I think it's really important to talk to at least one person per day. We are social creatures. We thrive in a social habitat. I mean, that's how we can so effectively live in a large city altogether. It's pretty fantastic. And so we also live, with social media, we live in the most connected time in history. And in spite of that, we also live in the most disconnected time. And so that oxymoron is there because it's true. I mean, how many of you feel lonely? The fact that we have so many mental health problems these days, and it's in kids now, and it's just so heartbreaking to see kids suffering with that. I just can't even go there, but it's so sad, and we have to kind of turn off our monkey brains for a second, right? We're all using our little monkey brains, but guess what? We've evolved. Think about it. We have so much more mental health. Yes, part of the reason is because they have more ways of diagnosing people. Now we can report people. There's not as much of a negative connotation associated with mental health. That's a part of it. But I would say a bigger part of it has to do with the fact that everyone's connected to their phones, even children. Hello? How long have we had phones for? The brain hasn't adapted to this technology. So we're all glued to our phones. We're all just becoming zombies when we scroll through social media. And fewer of us are actually engaging with human beings. Fewer and fewer of us are actually having family dinners. It's actually an epidemic. So we have to consider that and figure out, how can I connect more to other people? Maybe you join a meetup group and you go hiking on the weekends with this group of people. Maybe you join a dance class. Maybe you start cycling and you join the cycle club. Maybe you walk your dog to the park and meet all the people at the dog park. Okay, so just Talk to people. Even if you don't have anybody in your life, you can go and meet strangers. The last thing is get a dog. Get a dog. I'm not even kidding. People who have dogs are happier. And there's actually been studies done that they can help prolong your lifespan by 15 years. So the reason being is because dogs are amazing. And the reason we think dogs are amazing is because we love how they make us feel. Isn't that so selfish? We love how they make us feel, right? I mean, Kobe, come here. Kobe, come here, boy. Hey, baby, he's sleeping. Where is he? Oh, he's in Stefan's room. Kobe! Come here. Over here. Come here. Come here. This is my dog, Kobe. He is my darling. Up. Come here, boy. Up. Come here. Oh, are you lazy? Come here, boy. No, don't sit down. Come here. Up. 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 Aw. Up. Come here. Come here. Up. 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 No. Aw. He's really tired. Okay. All right. That's okay. Anyways, Kobe makes me feel just so in love. Like just I love how his face looks. I love hugging him. I love kissing him. I love watching him play with his ball. Guess what? When I have a dog, I feel love more often. I feel the emotion of love more often. And the emotion of love is the most powerful emotion. It's actually the only thing in the world. And when you feel it, it feels amazing. It feels better than any other thing. And so getting a dog, of course, you feel great. And so it can help you live longer and just live a happier life. So I honestly encourage you, get a dog. If you can rescue, get a rescue, save someone else's life. And so, yeah, those are my tips for you guys. Again, as I said at the beginning of this video, this is not the only secret to happiness. I honestly don't think there is one single solution to anything. I think there's always more that you can add, always a different perspective, but I'm just sharing with you what I've observed in the life that I've lived, and I've observed in my personal experience and what works for me. So I hope that it can help you, and if it did, please do give me a thumbs up or share this with someone else that you think it could help. Do you know anyone who could get a little hack in how to boost their happiness? If you liked the video, check out the rest of my channel. I have a playlist called Personal Development, and I'll link in the description for you. All right, guys, I'll see you.